That was one hell of a hiatus, but I'm back, and to make it even better, we got a new marathon! Yeah, after 3 videos and oh my god! That long? I am so sorry. Well, with that said, we got Batman. Yep, one of the most influential superheroes finally making his debut on this channel. Which reminds me, the last time we had an influential superhero on here was... yeah... Well, I feel I had you guys waiting long enough. This is the Batman Arkham Marathon. Batman. My god, Batman. Who doesn't know him? He is one of the most influential superheroes of all time next to Superman. From a long line of comic series to the 60s TV show, Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, Batman has pretty much been in all forms of media. I'll still enjoy watching the Tim Burton Batman film, and I love watching the animated series. And I'd say it's worth it to watch the Batman parts of Batman v Superman. Or as I like to call it, the real movie we got. Now, in terms of video games, Batman hasn't had a whole lot of luck. In fact, for a while there were only 3 good Batman games. The NES game, Batman Returns on the Super Nintendo, and The Adventures of Batman and Robin on the SNES and Genesis. However, in 2009, Rocksteady Studios decided to throw in their 2 cents and make their own game about the Dark Knight. The end result is Batman Arkham Asylum, which is not only considered one of the best Batman games ever made, but one of the greatest superhero games in existence. I mean, this game was everywhere upon release. The fact that it was met with low expectations made its quality all the more loved. I have a feeling everyone has at least heard of this game upon its release. But with that said, we have a story to cover. Hey, just a quick heads up for this marathon. I'm going to be talking about the game's plot, so if you don't want the story spoiled for you in any sense whatsoever, I'm going to put a time code at the bottom screen right here at the beginning of every single video for the Arkham Marathon. So, if you don't want the story spoiled for you and want to skip right to the gameplay, go to that time. With that said, let's get started. One notable fact about this game's story is that it was written by Batman veteran Paul Dini, who was one of the main writers of Batman the Animated Series. That alone should be a good sign. In terms of the plot, Arkham Asylum isn't tied to any other arc in the Batman mythos, so you don't have to read any pre-existing material to understand what's going on. Even then, every main character you come across has a short biography so you can understand who they are. The game starts off with Batman taking Joker to Arkham Asylum after holding the mayor of Gotham hostage. Batman feels that the Joker was apprehended too easily and decides to follow along to see what he has planned, but Batman is stopped halfway as they take Joker to his cell.
Get up! Now!
It's a trap!
Unsurprisingly, Joker escapes his guards with the assistance of Harley Quinn and sends goons to slow us down. Batman eventually catches up with the Joker as he sends out someone who's clearly busy during his off time, with Batman effortlessly taking him out. Joker offers him a chance to stop his scheme by killing him.
Pull the plug! Stop me once and for all!
Yeah, try saying that to Batfleck.
Knock me off! I dare you! End this! Pull the plug! Stop me once and for all!
Meanwhile, Batman gives chase as he is stopped by Harley, who says that Commissioner Gordon is being held captive. Upon rescuing him, we find out that Bane was unknowingly held against his will in Arkham while being experimented on by Dr. Penny Young, a scientist who has been studying how to recreate Bane's venom serum into something much stronger. After putting Bane in his place, Batman continues his investigations with him realizing that Joker and Bane are not the only members of Batman's gallery of rogues on Arkham Island. Yep, we have more villains such as Killer Croc, Scarecrow, the Riddler, and Poison Ivy. The inclusion of these 4, while cool to see, doesn't really serve much to the overall plot. Aside from Ivy, which I'll explain later, the other 3 are really there just to get in our way. I think it's the most obvious with Croc, who only shows up twice in the whole game. The Riddler is just there to test Batman's intellect, but nothing much else besides that. Scarecrow is my favorite of the bunch, but I'll save why he is for when I talk about gameplay. Batman soon finds out that the Joker had hired Dr. Penny Young to create a serum called Titan, which is why she was doing tests on Bane to use his Venom serum as a basis while combining it with chemicals from Poison Ivy's plants. The only difference is that while Venom hulks out its host, Titan is much stronger and much more grotesque. The Joker had planned to use this to essentially create an army of 1,000 much stronger Banes. Batman finds the Titan formula and figures out how to reverse engineer it into a cure, which involves collecting spores from Croc's lair. After doing so, Batman manages to make the cure but is then stopped by Ivy, who has been injected with Titan. After a confrontation that is way too long for its own good, the Joker invites Batman to his victory party. Once he arrives, we find out that Gordon was once again kidnapped. Yeah, Gotham's finest, my ass. Joker proceeds to inject himself with Titan and transforms into... What? Oh my god! Oh my god! What the hell is this? I mean, seriously, who on the development team greenlit this design, for God's sake? It looks like Bane and Joker's love child if he were a member of KISS. Oh my god. Oh man, okay. Well done, Rocksteady. Well done. Okay, I'm good. Let's... Oh man. Okay, I'm sorry about that. Okay, before I die of laughter, let's get back to the game. Oh man. Whew. After one quite literal explosive punch, Batman manages to take out the Joker. I can just imagine how many ways you could re-edit this scene.
Falcon Punch!
Order has been restored to the asylum, with Batman flying back into the Gotham Knight to put more criminals in their place, thus ending Batman Arkham Asylum. Overall, it's a very well done Batman story. All the characters are shown how they should be, and the narrative's tone finds a good balance between dark and gritty, and surprisingly goofy and fun. But the best part by far is the cast. Yeah, I know most of them are regulars, but Rocksteady actually got some of the voices from the animated series, like Arlene Sorkin as Harley Quinn, who gives a pretty fun performance, and Kevin Conroy as Batman. My god, am I glad they brought him back. I know this is a common opinion, but he is the voice I associate with the Dark Knight, and it gives another fantastic performance. The funny thing is, Batman doesn't have too many noteworthy pieces of dialogue, but he still manages to make them sound awesome.
Bane called Dr. Young Bruja. What does it mean?
It's Spanish for witch.
But the best returning performance by far is Mark Hamill as the Joker. Much like Conroy as Batman, this is a performance that is so engraved in my mind that I can't hear anyone else. Unlike Batman, however, the Joker no doubt has the best and funniest writing in the whole game. It's more than just a few chuckles. I found myself laughing really damn hard at some of these lines.
Stand back, fool, I've got a bomb. Huh? All right. Not so tight, boys. You'll crease the suit. Ooh, would you sneak in with your bats? Come on, tell me. Batarangs, bat claws, ooh, bat smacks. Need to take my temperature? I'd be happy to drop my pants.
Hello? What's happening there? I'm trying to contact Steve. Is he there?
Hold 1 second. I'll see if I can find him.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. I've looked everywhere, but I can only find his head. I'll get back to you when I find the rest of them. Greetings, Gotham. This is the voice of your new master. Oh, hang on. I skipped a bit. I salute my fallen enemy.
The game's story feels like the pilot to a 5th season of the animated series we never got. It's not exactly a thinking man's story, but I feel even the most simple story elements can be the most effective, like some good banter between the characters.
Batman, how's it going? Any sign of Dad?
Not yet, but I'm getting close. Harley Quinn tried to slow me down, dropped an elevator on me.
Did it work?
Of course not. I'll get back to you when I reach the end of the trail.
And when Scarecrow affects Batman again, he makes him see, even though it's been done to death, his parents in Crime Alley. When done correctly, it's a pretty damn powerful image, and I feel it's done well here. So, overall, I feel it was a very well done narrative. Okay, now that the plot's explained, or if you just skipped it altogether, let's take a look and see how the game actually plays. Arkham Island is made up of 3 main sections, each containing their own areas. While playing, you'll make your way through Arkham's Penitentiary, the Arkham Mansion, the Botanical Gardens, the cave system within Arkham, the medical facility, and finally the Intensive Treatment Center. As Batman, you'll have to use your martial arts and detective skills to put an end to Joker's madness. When you're not fighting one of the supervillains, you are often dealing with Arkham's inmates and some Black Cape prisoners. With the use of the game's free-flowing combat system, you can chain together large combos in order to perform finishing moves. When executed, these can instantly incapacitate a thug, allowing you to focus your attacks on weaker mooks. When enemies attack you, a prompt will appear over their head which will allow you to counter their punch, allowing you to follow up with another attack of your own. And you will also encounter thugs with different attack strategies, such as thugs with stun batons that you have to somersault over to attack from behind, and knife wielders that you have to stun with your cape. The combat does not encourage you to button mash, however. You have to time each punch correctly in order to build up your combo and take less damage. Not all enemies can be taken out with fisticuffs, however. Sometimes you have to use Batman's stealth tactics to take out armed thugs. By using conveniently placed gargoyles and some clever hiding spots, Batman will have to take out each thug individually while enlisting fear on the remaining mooks. Personally, I feel the combat and stealth sections are the best part of the game by far. When you learn the timing to chain together large combos, it can be incredibly satisfying. Also in stealth, I love the multiple ways you can take everyone out, like using the inverted takedown on one guy, and then dropping him on the others who go to check it out. My favorite part of these sections is using the multiple gadgets you get. Speaking of which, Batman has a great inventory of weapons. You get traditionals like the Batarangs and Batclaw, but you also get the line launcher, which, aside from allowing you to cross large pits, can also take out multiple guys at once, and the explosive gel that can be used to knock down walls and incapacitate mooks. Yes, it's a non-lethal explosion. My favorite of the bunch, though, has to be the upgraded Batclaw, allowing you to shoot 3 claws at once, so being able to pull down multiple guys off of a ledge. The only thing that confuses me, however, is its size. Where the hell does he fit that thing in his utility belt? I mean, the Batarangs and grapple gun I can kind of understand, larger pockets, but where the hell does he put this thing? What, is it just carrying around Mary Poppins' purse during investigations? Other gadgets include the cryptographic sequencer, which just allows you to open up certain doors, and the remote control Batarang. Well, it is a cool idea, I barely use this. I don't know, the control just seems a bit too stiff for me to use effectively. The structure of the game actually reminds me a lot of the likes of Metroid or Castlevania. You have an objective and a place to go to on your map, but how you get there is completely up to you. I'm a pretty straightforward guy when it comes to finishing the game, but I have seen tons of people who go off the intended pathway to get more experience or solve one of the Riddler challenges. Oh boy, the Riddler challenges. This may as well be the Arkham series trademark. The Riddler has set all these little trophies you can find in hidden areas of the asylum, and riddles you can solve by scanning certain objects. Solving all the riddles somehow lets you find out where he is, which allows you to send the police after him. My favorite part of the mission by far has to be hearing Edward Nygma slowly becoming more and more aggravated the closer you get to finishing.
What? You're nearly done? Are you cheating? Looking them up on the internet?
Not at all, Eddie. Not whatsoever. A big factor of getting through the game is using Batman's new detective mode. This pretty much allows you to view breakable objects and upcoming enemies. I like to think this was somewhat inspired by the Dark Knight's sonar vision, except you can actually see where you're going. Also, it kind of requires you to doubt the function of your brain at certain points. There are areas where you have to set up a crime scene in order to find certain things to scan and to set up a trail that needs to follow someone. Now, some do make sense, like following a blood trail or fingerprints, but there's also tracking a tobacco trail, and possibly the most ridiculous thing I've seen in years, tracking someone's breath. Yeah, I bet you didn't know Batman essentially created God vision. While very useful, there comes a point where it does make the game a bit easier since you always know what's up ahead. You'll probably find yourself in detective mode for like 75% of the game, so I hope you like the color blue. It's a shame too because Arkham Asylum in terms of graphics is beautiful. Every room in the facility just oozes with dark and gothic atmosphere. The music also helps in that department too. It's incredibly atmospheric and fits wonderfully with the setting. The first reveal of Arkham Island just says it all as we get this amazing shot of the facility with this sweeping score playing. I love it. Although I will say it has aged a bit saying how it was a 2009 game. The character models are spot on, but the facial animations are incredibly stiff and show very little emotion. Especially this scene when Joker kills a guard with electricity. You'd think Batman would react a little bit more than this. Oh no, I guess. Then sometimes the lighting doesn't mesh well with the models at all. Look at Joker here. It looks like he's made of rubber. I just imagine he squeaks every time he makes the slight movements.
Sneak in with your plans. Come on, tell me. That claws, that smacks.
The boss fights are unfortunately the worst part of the game. At certain points of the game, Joker will inject his goons with Titan in order to take out Batman. Let the boss fight with Bane be the standard for every single boss encounter in the game. One giant muscle guy that charges at you with a bunch of other mooks thrown in the ring. Whenever the Titan charges at you, throw a batarang and jump out of the way as he hits the wall. Lather, rinse, repeat for every single boss. The other villains try to change things up, like with Poison Ivy, where instead of a giant muscle man with mooks, it's a giant plant monster with mooks.
Oh! The originality is blooming with this!
Well, Croc at the very least is a little different, but you don't actually fight him. You just move around his lair and try to make as little noise as possible while occasionally throwing a batarang at him. The best boss-like confrontation by far is Scarecrow. His sections require you to get to the end without being spotted. I love it purely for the look. It's surreal, intense, and fits perfectly with his character. It can even mess with the player on occasion. The first two Scarecrow encounters are pretty easy to see coming, but the final one not only comes out of nowhere, he makes it look like the game crashed. From there on out, it gets stranger and stranger as we see the opening of the game again, except we're playing as Joker bringing Batman. And when he supposedly kills you, your post-death hint is to move the middle stick. I kid you not, the first time I ever saw that message, I actually looked down at my controller. And I can definitely assure you, the DualShock 3 does not have a middle stick. That kind of creativity is what really makes Scarecrow my favorite encounter in this game. The only question is, how does a shining spotlight in his stomach defeat him?
What are you trying to do?
Batman Arkham Asylum also has some additional content when you finish the game, like higher difficulties which will allow you to nab some trophies, along with the game's challenge maps. These allow you to play in arenas where you can fight enemies in combat or take them out in stealth. This is actually a good way to practice for higher difficulty modes, especially extreme challenge maps. Good lord, look at how many enemies they throw at you during this. The challenge maps also come with some extra DLC, and I'll be honest, I'm a bit angry at how it's handled. For future reference, I'm playing Arkham Asylum, City, and Origins strictly on the PlayStation 3, with one exception for City, and each console has its own exclusive content. In Asylum's case, while the alternative Batman suits are for all versions of the game, the PS3 version has the exclusive Joker challenge maps, where you can control the Clown Prince of Crime himself in both combat and stealth. Joker's inventory isn't as large as Batman's, which limits how creative you can be during combat. He also doesn't have a grapple gun either, so stealth sections become way more difficult. But I will say there is something funny about watching him take on a bunch of guards, especially when one of them is Commissioner Gordon. The only thing I don't understand is, why is Joker PS3 exclusive? From what I understand, there has been no plans by Rocksteady to release the Joker maps for all systems, which is a shame honestly, since the 360 version doesn't have any exclusive content. And it's virtually impossible for them to release it now 7 years later. I know Return to Arkham for current gen consoles has all the DLC for all systems, so I guess if you have an Xbox One or PS4, you at least have the option. To wrap things up, Batman Arkham Asylum is fantastic. The game structure is unique, the gameplay is unbelievably fun, the story keeps you entertained all the way through, the graphics and music are awesome, it's just a fantastic game. Really, the only thing I feel that suffers are the bosses. Considering how well made the rest of the game is, you'd think that would apply here. This is one thing I wish Rocksteady had worked on a little harder, but that in no way ruins the experience that Arkham Asylum gives. Even if you're not a Batman fan, the game on its own is still incredibly fun enough for it to stand on its own. Overall, it's not just a great Batman game, but it's a great game in general.
Rocksteady knew they had a winning franchise on their hands, so much so that they even teased the next game before this one was even finished. If you go into the Warden's office in the Arkham Mansion, you can find the hidden office. And if you look around, you'll notice there's a map with a large chunk of Gotham City sectioned off labeled Quincy Sharp's Gotham City Proposal. It seems Quincy Sharp had a pretty good idea for a Batman game as well. Well, we're only 1/4 done with the Arkham Marathon, guys, so next time we meet, we're going to be taking a look at Batman Arkham City for both the PlayStation 3, and we're going to be taking a look at Batman Arkham City Armored Edition for the Nintendo Wii U. So, I'll see you guys next time.